Hey everyone, welcome to Dawnbringer. I am Tim Magic7, who's and I'm joined by a very special guest today. This is Erica. You want to say hello, Erica? Nope, she doesn't want to say hello. She just got home from church and she's a little grumpy. I stayed home to watch Worlds. I know, let's not dwell on it. But we had Group C today. And the big takeaway for me was, and you can see the written version of this where I'd probably go into a little more detail, oracleselixir.com. I believed in Fnatic there. You know, coming into the day, I didn't, right? I predicted them to go 0-3 today. I thought it was going to be PSG and RNG making it out of this group, so I was wrong. I was wrong about a lot of things today, but I think I already said yesterday that I didn't, I didn't, I was reasonably confident in my read, but not like, oh, I'm sure this is what's going to happen. This one and tomorrow are both kind of wide open on the results. And HLE did better than I expected. They played controlled and definitely cleaned up some of those mistakes that have been costing them more before. So good for them. But on the Fnatic side, once they were doing well against RNG and then took them down, I thought, well, here we go. I guess they're going to make it out, and I believed. And then that got kind of squashed. And it didn't work out. There was a good chunk of the HLE game where I thought, yeah, they've got this. They're going to do it. But that didn't work out. So that's kind of disappointing. Felt too bad. I thought that we were going to get kind of the second kind of miracle run from a Western team. I've been a bit of a Fnatic fan for a while, ever since I worked with them a little bit in 2015. So dates way back there. Came by that fandom, honestly. But, I think they can still be pretty proud of what they pulled together. Under all the circumstances. I've talked before about Bean and, how he's impressed, but how I think that's more of a symptom of the fact that, hey, there's a lot of talent that hasn't broken into the LEC or LCS yet. And if you put them in an environment, especially, there's been some discussion today on Twitter and stuff about the bot lane role is a little easier to integrate than others. And I think that's valid. And so you bring him in as a bot laner. You have so much experience and quality in the roster around him. And yeah, it's a very good environment for a player like that to shine. And we shouldn't really be super surprised by it. And treat Bean as some like super exception to, most players would come up and totally flop and crash and burn. But, good job by him, as I've said before. And, take that chance on more players, please, orgs, because more of them can do that if you give them the chance and stick with them long enough for it to pan out. And of course, you're going to have some misses on that. Not every player is going to be up for it, and depends a lot on the quality of who's around them and all of those kinds of things. But it's a point that is close to my heart. So not as close to my heart as Erica is, right? But now I think you turn to the future on Fnatic and you wonder, okay, Bwipo and Hylissang are both free agents this offseason. Are they going to retain one or both? What does the team look like without them? Because I think especially Hylissang is so emblematic of the Fnatic playstyle and mentality that they've had for a couple of years now. Can you replace that? What does the team look like if you do? And Bwipo, with the role swap and the what he means to the org, he played so well this tournament, and I think I'll split. Does he want to go somewhere and get back to top lane? Does he want to stick it out as a jungler? What's going to happen? I really don't know what's going to happen there. But it'll be really interesting to find out, that's for sure. So I'm really watching those two guys to see what happens. Yeah? What do you think? Should Bwipo stay as a jungler or go back to top lane? Jungler? Yeah? Jungler? Sorry, I shouldn't tease you. On the side of RNG, okay, they clutched it out in the end. They had the better 5v5 late game team fighting, and they had the comp for it. I was a little disappointed with how long it took them to get that comp online, and they were really struggling to get those engages, which is partly credit to HLE for having good setups and denying the flanks and peeling some of the engage attempts and so on. But all in all, it was not as strong or as clean a day from RNG as you would have hoped, and the LPL second round robin disappointment kind of continues, I would say, even though they got out first in their group in the end. And I think it's really interesting how there's not like, these aren't, teams getting cheesed and like, oh, I can't believe, that was a 10% chance that they're going to lose games that way, but, don't worry about it in the best of fives because they're not going to be able to repeat that. Like, these were clean wins, or rather clean losses in most cases. Like, There was some, level 1 first blood stuff and whatever else against them, but that's not totally game warping. Like those weren't like, oh, the game's over at level 1 kind of things. So I'm each of these teams that has struggled so far, obviously FPX dropping all the way out, they just were bad. Their meta read and their execution and everything. EDG fumbled some things, they got beat 2v2 in their bot lane, which is not supposed to happen. And, stuff like that. T1 just out-macroed them and stifled them out. And today, RNG, they had opponents who played better than them. It was not, I don't think there are like, oh, these weird one-offs that they lost to. Like, there are legitimate concerns now going into the best of fives. So, I'm sure people who know the LPL better would be able to say a little more specifically, like, oh, these were exact weaknesses that we've talked about before. I think Kelsey was tweeting a little bit about that kind of thing. And now that the LPL teams might be able to adapt to that and prevent it from hurting them as much in the best of fives. But, I think it does just seem like general poor performance and overhype of the LPL teams. And I think they'll do better in the best of fives than they've done in the best of ones. And that should be kind of natural as a region that plays best of threes throughout the regular season. Single game matches are not really what they're used to. So I think we can give them a little bit of leeway for that and still put them, still have higher expectations. But they feel a lot more beatable. And, there is a big aspect of that where their opponents coming in, like if Cloud9 end up against RNG or whatever, they're going to feel, hey, this is beatable. They're not going to feel like we've got to cheese these guys to win, because that's the only way they had games lost in the group stage or anything like that. Like the mental edge is definitely going to be gone. Kind of like back in the old LCK dominance days, there was such a mental edge there. So that might have big consequences for the rest of the tournament, and we'll have to see. So those are my thoughts. Giant whiff on fantasy today. But we'll try again. Tomorrow, probably try a couple of lineups for tomorrow. I haven't gone through it yet, but probably try a couple of things because there are so many different potential outcomes, and hope to hit on one of them and come out ahead overall. But head over to patreon.com/oracleselixir to see that when it goes up. On the whole, for Worlds, we're still doing pretty well, but today was not a hit, that's for sure. PSG did not come through for me. So that's it. We'll see you again tomorrow for Group D. Go Team Liquid, go.